All right, and welcome to a very special Rabbit and Red Radio. I'm Michael J, and I'm joined by Richard Stanley. This guy for me, he's, oh, s- uh, his filmography, I love it. I was watching that Lost Soul documentary about the making of the Island of Dr. Moreau yesterday, and let me tell you. It just seems like you had a lot of, you're up against a lot with that film, especially. And I didn't, I feel bad that I went to the movies in '96 to see that. And, that I actually gave it time. I kind of wish, after knowing what I know now, that I kind of just stayed away from it, you know? Um,
Well, hey, it's a pleasure being on the show, sir, and glad to be with you tonight. It's midnight here in the French Pyrenees, and I can say straight off the bat that I'm really glad you went to see the Island of Dr. Moreau when you did, because arcanely out of every movie project I've ever worked on, the
mm.
Island of Dr. Moreau is the only project that pays royalties. I
Oh,
actually
does it?
yeah, I actually get residuals from the WGA from the Island of Dr. Moreau. It's the one movie that was kind of all legally fair and square, which yeah actually pays residuals. So thank you for buying a ticket. I'm sorry the movie kind of sucked and was yeah a, a deeply confusing experience for everyone who was forced to sit through it.
I kind of liked the direction that you were gonna take it. It seemed like you were at least trying to be more faithful to the original, to the book, to the original material.
Yeah, it remains to be seen whether anyone will ever crack that nut, or whether a reasonable Island of Dr. Moreau will ever make it to film or streaming. Folk keep trying, but so far there's no definitive telling of the Wells story, and a lot of the base issues like speciesism, the issue of the animal people to begin with are things which I don't think anyone's really dealt with so far. It remains a big theme and a very exciting and interesting topic to get one's teeth into.
Do you think you might? I mean, do you think you might want to give it, or another crack at some point? Like yourself. It seems like now you're, you know, I mean, uh, I don't know who. I'm trying to think where the rights lie. Is that still with Warner Brothers at this point, or is it? I wonder.
And the bottom
I
line
for,
is, Island of Dr. Moreau is public domain.
oh,
The
is it? Oh, okay.
H.G. Wells original is public domain. I've basically survived a big chunk of my career off public domain titles. H.P. Lovecraft's work, like Wells's work, is all in public domain. So anyone's welcome to take a tilt at the Island of Dr. Moreau. And there's definitely room for multiple screen interpretations. But,
Mm.
for whatever reason, Wells has been rather poorly served by cinema to date.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that to me, at least. But I know I jumped ahead a little bit. But where did you like? How did you initially, decide that you wanted to do this? Like, what was the moment, where you were like, I want to make films, I want to write films, I want to direct. What was the whole?
I think there was some base impetus in that direction from the very beginning for me, and I've probably put this out there a bunch of times, but I trace that
Mhm.
back to seeing a print of King Kong when I was 4 years old. And some part of me probably imprinted on the character of Carl Denham, the deranged film director who goes to Skull Island and brings back Kong. And I think as a 4-year-old, that was something I thought that I would be cool to do when I grew up. And so the base idea probably imprinted itself on me pretty early. But then there have been plenty of times in my life when I've tried to get away from the film industry and tried very hard not to make movies, and it's also conspired in some way to bring the business back to me. Like every so often, it's as if a dog comes to the door and drops a hand grenade in front of me. But it's actually quite hard to not be involved, and a number of the different projects have kind of come together practically against my will at times, just through bizarre confluences of luck and chance, destiny, and often the need to access funds or funds that are trapped in one territory or another, and suddenly there's for some bizarre reason, a movie needs to be made, and these things come about like not really acts of God, but they definitely happen from the top down rather than from the bottom up.
Hmm. And so that was so when would you? Because I know that you wrote Hardware, which was your first film, like I guess a few years before it was actually made. So like, where did that start?
Yeah, Hardware grew out of a Super 8 movie originally. I mean, I made a Super 8 movie that won a student film trophy in London, and which was a caveman movie. And I wanted to follow up the caveman movie by going full science fiction, and made a, a Super 8 movie that was an hour and a half long. About half an hour of it's lost now, which is probably a good thing because it was hard to sit through, but it was the basis for Hardware, and it accumulated a lot of other stuff because Hardware is really just a vortex of influences and scraps of things that were going on at the time. But yeah, the base story started out as a something that was actually a lot closer to, I guess, Fat City in the 21st century, or the Harry Harrison book, Make Room, because not a lot actually happened in the Super 8 movie. The characters kind of slouched around over Christmas, and it was all kind of downbeat and a little yeah, moody and depressing. But the basic the one hand soldier back from the war, and the scrap metal sculptress girlfriend, and the tripping space jockey neighbor, and the angry Bob on the DJ on the soundtrack. All these elements were present and accounted for. And I kept on like pushing it around in various forms for a few years, and with no real interest from the outside world. And then by the late 80s, everyone was basically ripping off Terminator and Alien. The world was full of direct to video movies with people creeping around darkened warehouses with flamethrowers looking for monsters which only showed up for a few seconds. So there was a sudden demand for this kind of movie. And I suddenly found myself under a lot of pressure to drop like a killer cyborg or an alien into my fairly well developed 21st century world, and Hardware came about. The script punted around for years and years, and pretty much found its way into the hands of Miramax and the dreaded Harvey Weinstein by
Mm.
yeah a series of chances, more or less.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that too, because I didn't realize before that, like, the Weinsteins were that Harvey was involved. Like, how were they? Because I know, like, back at that time, they were more leaning, towards dealing with, independent filmmakers and all that type of thing. So, like, what was it what was it like to deal with? with them. Was that a good experience, or were there issues with that? Or
I mean, all around, it was a pretty dreadful experience, but
mm,
it got the movie made. I mean, I had no idea who the hell they were, and even how really how the script got to them. That was a mystery to me. Having had no experience really of the film industry before, and I had no clue who yeah, Harvey and Bob were, or what the deal was with Miramax. But effectively, they had very crazy ideas about how what they thought the movie was going to be.
mm,
So we're prone to making outlandish fucking suggestions, which Joanne Seller, the producer of Hardware, largely shielded me from. So a lot of the time I didn't know just what Miramax were really up to. But I mean, typically about 2 weeks into the production, they suggested we get rid of the Shades character played by John Lynch, the tripping
mm,
space jockey neighbor, because they just didn't get him and didn't like his Irish accent, and suggested that we replace him with a dog. Thought that if Dylan McDermott's character had a dog, it would it would be more appealing to kids and to
mm,
a younger market. They kept trying to get teenagers into the movie to appeal to kids, which was a weird misconception as well, because we were clearly shooting an R-rated, or what was initially an X-rated movie. So
mm.
the impetus to try and make it somehow appealing to a younger audience was something where yeah, we didn't see eye to eye on. But yeah, fortunately they stayed in America, so they stayed yeah, far from set, and yeah, we survived the worst of it. But they made a lot of very bizarre suggestions.
Mm.
The tensions over yeah, having kids in the movie led to them actually shooting 2 days of material with a bunch of teenagers to cut into the film, which I had to remove 2 days from my schedule for them to allow them to do
Oh,
that. I refused to direct the scenes, so they had to. They were literally 2 days of Miramax requested additional shooting with yeah, a bunch of kids, and which was a bizarre thing. I had to tear 2 days out of the schedule, which is the reason why Alvy the dwarf doesn't get killed on camera. Alvy was originally meant to die in a far more messy way, but in order to make up time so that Miramax could shoot these useless scenes, I had to dispense with some of the unnecessarily violent things that I was going to do to some of the minor cast members.
God.
Vernon's, yeah, the younger security guard was also meant to die in a far more complicated way, and that's just how it went. And then I felt that Miramax made a series of really bad marketing decisions, pretty much all the way through the film's release and distribution. I mean, Harvey nixed the initial Frank Frazetta poster, which was designed by yeah, my a hero of graphic art to me, in favor of the poster that they ran with. And throughout the entire affair, Miramax resolutely failed to license video games, T-shirts, models, comic books, or any extension of the hardware universe. So, despite everyone talking about how what marketing geniuses Miramax were, I always felt that they just mismarketed the hell out of hardware, and basically yeah, did very little with it in yeah, in the United States or on its initial release.
And then with Dust Devil, because I know that the Weinstein's handled that too. So did they kind of like? Did you go to them with that first, or like did that was that like an intentional thing, or did that kind of um, just oh, what is the word I'm looking for? Or did that kind of like did you go to them with that, or did they kind of like just seek that out too, or how did that work? Did I lose you? Oh, I think I lost them. Oh no, I didn't. Oh yeah, I got you back.
Yeah.
No, I got you. There we go. I got you back.
Yeah, so I was telling you how Dust Devil happened. Initially, it was a script I wrote when I was 15 years old. Tried to shoot it when I was 15 or
Mhm,
16 on 60 millimeter. Failed to get it completed. Then the script floated around, and after finishing Hardware, I had other ideas. But one of the individuals involved in the production of Hardware, while I'd been shooting Hardware, had basically absconded with the negatives to all the footage I'd shot in Afghanistan just before the movie. And then basically pulled this routine where he said, you'll only see your negative again if you sign over the rights to Dust Devil. And I thought, okay, well, that's an old script. It doesn't really matter anymore, and I valued the neg more highly, so I signed over Dust Devil, and then a deal was set up with Miramax. At that point in time, I think Silence the Lambs had just landed, so suddenly psychopaths were all the rage, and okay, yeah, Dust Devil suddenly got thrust into production, and it was a very uneasy relationship with Miramax throughout. And it was lucky for us that we were shooting so far away in
mhm,
such a godforsaken location that there was no chance whatsoever of Harvey or Bob actually visiting us or coming anywhere near the set, which was a really good thing. And in those days as well, we were shooting on 35 millimeter negs. So yeah, there was a an appreciable lag in time between us shooting the material and Miramax seeing it. There was always like a sort of 2 3 day lag. I mean, these
mhm,
days now everything is digital. The moment you've got a frame, anyone on your feed can see exactly what's in your frame, and there's folk all over the world involved in putting up the money who can basically see what you're shooting, and within seconds there's repercussions if the stuff you're shooting is really far off book. But back then, we were counting on a lag of 2 3 4 days before the front of house would completely freak out when they saw whatever it was that we were sending back. So all that was nice. The distance we had on Miramax and on New York on Dust Devil was helpful. Miramax did try to keep control of the production by putting an executive in charge of production on the shoot. So we had this guy, Steve Earnhardt, who was basically Miramax's man on the shoot on Dust Devil. And Steve went through a very complicated personal journey as a result of,
mhm.
of fulfilling that role.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure.
yeah, Dust Devil was a million miles of rough road, and at the time, I really thought it was the worst thing that any human being could really ever have gone through. Of course, it was before I got involved in the island of Dr. Moreau, so I didn't know what was coming, but it was a long, crazy affair. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that happened was that Miramax got pissed that so few people get killed in Dust Devil. They wanted a serial killer movie, and they wanted more kills. And the fact that he kills the one person at the beginning and then Nardo really freaked them out. So I was under intense pressure to have another kill about half an hour into the movie. And they were pushing. I absolutely refused to kill any more women. suggested that it would have to be a man. Uh, as we didn't have money to cast anyone, I cast Steve Earnhardt, the Miramax executive in charge of production, as
Mm-hmm.
the camper van driver. Uh, Staged a seduction scene, which we shot beautifully at sunset, and all in a very nice continuous 35 millimeter dolly move. There was a frontal male kiss between Robert Burke and Steve Earnhardt with the setting sun between their faces, and yeah, nice scene. Burke seduces Steve, and then kills and guts him. We
Mm-hmm.
sent that back to Miramax, and, and they responded by firing Steve.
Wow. Wow. That's I. You know, I've heard a lot of things about Miramax and Harvey and all that stuff, but I'm just so sorry that you even had to deal with it. It's just it just seemed like such shit. I can't believe it. Like, wow. Um, so would you say that
Well, I
Dust
gotta
Devil
say,
is
and I
probably
went, yeah, I was just going to
oh no,
say
what was
in Harvey, as a footnote, in Harvey and Bob's defense,
mm,
I, they weren't really any worse than pretty much everyone else I've worked with for. Um,
mhm,
Unfortunately, yeah, it was kind of a nightmarish experience working for them, but it's kind of been like that with pretty much all of my professional relationships. So yeah, par for the course. Next question.
so um okay. So I kind of get the feeling that you're a fan or you were a fan of Marlon Brando because it seemed like at least um I don't know, but it seemed like with Island of Dr. Moreau that Val Kilmer was probably the worst of the two. I mean, who would you say was probably the more difficult? I would think that it was Val.
Well, certainly it was Val when it came to me. I got on very well with the big guy, and
Mhm,
that was it was just an unfortunate confluence of circumstances, because really that amount of power should never have been vested in Val's hands to begin with, and that a situation where the character playing the mad doctor's assistant has ultimate
mhm,
power over production is off kilter to begin with. But we were just catching him right at the peak of his fame at the time of post Batman and post The Doors, and for a shining moment, Val was the best thing they had. That really happened because, yeah, I couldn't field Brando on day one, thanks to
mhm.
family tragedy. The big man couldn't make it to
Yeah,
the beginning of production. As we couldn't produce Brando, suddenly Val was left as the only name that they could pin their hopes of recouping the budget on, and suddenly he became the 90-pound gorilla in the room, which was just a confluence of circumstances. If things had worked out differently, maybe you wouldn't have risen to ascendancy at that moment. If maybe if I'd played my cards differently, who knows? And but the Island of Doctor Moreau was yeah experience that was very hard. I would say it would be very hard for anyone to survive without losing their minds, or or being yeah, permanently squidged out of shape, because it really was insane. The David Gregory documentary Lost Soul presents only a very partial picture of the events on during the production. It's kind of a like viewing it through a slightly distorted prism. One of the funny things about Lost Soul is that almost everyone in the documentary is lying just a little bit to
Oh,
everyone's telling the story slightly differently and have positioned the events very slightly differently for different, yeah, all for different reasons to cover themselves in different ways.
mm,
It's a funny old thing, and it also misses a few things, which I'm really sorry that it missed, because there's some of the things that happened was so deliriously insane and unlikely that it's hard to believe. I do hope this side of death that I get a chance to publish a first-hand account of the entire debacle, because there were a lot of things that went down. And I mean, here's one example from the scrappy things that actually fucking happened on that movie, uh,
mm,
which don't show up in Lost Soul. So there was a whole period when Frankenheimer didn't want to direct the Beast People at all, and felt that he needed to just put all of his energy into directing, into trying to control Marlon and Val. So he handed the direction of the Beast People over to Peter Elliott, the animal behaviorist, who was like the guy who played the gorilla in Congo and the main gorilla in Greystoke, and he's a professional gorilla guy. Suddenly,
mm.
Peter Elliott was directing the Beast People and got the chance to direct. But Peter Elliott was also cast as Sassamon, the Chakma baboon man, and as a result was wearing a Stan Winston Chakma Baboon Man outfit, which was kind of like an animatronic muzzle that was clamped onto the front of his face. So day we'd like come on set and there'd be this little fucking baboon guy in this brilliant Stan Winston makeup who was attempting to
Mm.
fucking direct us. He was screaming and yelling at us and waving at us loud hailer, and no one could understand a word he said because he had this muzzle in the front of his face, which was like almost impossible for him to speak through. And
Uh,
the more he screamed at us, the more everyone ignored him, which made him even more angry. And just having this weird, insane, like Gollum baboon guy trying to direct us every day, it was, yeah, madness beyond belief. So yeah, I do hope that yeah, a fuller account of that whole thing is eventually comes to light, or that somebody actually finds a way of adapting the story and
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
bringing it to
that,
streaming.
that would be that would be amazing. And here, when I watched that documentary, I thought it was the whole story. But now, I know that obviously they left some stuff out.
Yeah,
Um,
it's also kind of it kind of runs as comedy. I mean, it is a comedy. Even
mhm,
the actual events themselves were surreally funny and absurd. But the documentary, I think, has a lightness of touch which ignores some of the actual authentic darkness, which was also, yeah, present on the island.
mm.
It was also scary. Scary things happened, which I mean, it was just. In some ways, we should probably never have been there to begin with. I mean, it
It,
was fully insane going to Cape Tribulation.
and I mean, well, that was another thing that I thought too. Is New Line was more for independent filmmakers as well. So again, I thought that what happened with you on that was just wrong. I don't understand why they just didn't let you. I mean, Um, I mean, I can understand it because at the end of the day, it's all about, who's making money or, what they think will make money. But I mean, just
Yeah, and it
looking
was
at your
also it was the time period as well. It was the movie was ahead of its time in some way, and had I been doing the same thing 5 years later, it would have been very different. And for starters, no one understood the any of the sort of early mocap stuff that we were pushing into. That was incomprehensible to New Line at the time. The whole notion of trying to characterize the beast folk, or people looked at the idea of even in Lost Souls, they're kind of joking about dogs guns. But these days, post Guardians of the Galaxy, we can see how a raccoon machine gun is not actually such a crazy art house, off the wall idea. People just, I guess, at that point in time, being the mid '90s, they didn't seem to understand what the movie was about. They didn't get why I was devoting all my time to the sloth people and to the beast folk, and ended up giving all of the power to Mr. Montgomery, Dr. Moreau's lab assistant, which was beyond mad. And I guess it become a few years later, when once New Line were in a Lord of the Rings kind of environment,
Mhm.
Dr. Moreau would probably have made a good deal more sense. But yeah, we had the misfortune of having a lot of very old people in charge. The line producer, Tim Zinnemann, was the same line producer who I believe fired David Fincher off Alien 3. So there was a lot of old guard folk, and they ended up getting Frankenheimer, who was another old man.
Mhm.
And I was young and green, and most of my people were kids, and I think we were just coming too soon, too early. If we'd been a few years later, it would have all made more sense.
Yeah, definitely would have. Um, so, like, what are you? I mean, I saw today, that you were. I don't know. You joined some film today as an executive producer, or it was announced today. I don't. I forget the name of it though. And it's weird because I just sent it to Theo literally a half hour before we started this. Um,
Yeah, it's a
but
movie
you're.
called Kids, which is being directed by Michael Zyko Hall, and
Mhm.
the idea is to shoot in Salem, Massachusetts, in late summer. And it's pretty
Oh,
much a homage to the movie culture of years gone by. And and yeah, my dream has been for a long time to make a couple of American movies. I mean, despite everything that's happened, I've never actually shot a movie in the United States. So this is something that's very much been in my mind, because the film that I most want to make, and working towards in every which way, is a film called Dunwich, which is the next Lovecraft movie, which I intend to shoot in Rhode Island.
oh,
So yeah, very keen on the notion of actually finally making a an American movie. I
yeah,
mean, with Lovecraft's work, I think to do the man justice, someone has to actually go on location to Lovecraft country. I mean, I'm
yeah,
kind of shocked that his work is so connected to the sense of place, where you can spend so many pages describing trees and spend so little time on his lead characters that
yeah,
yeah, every time they adapt his work, it seems to end up getting shot in San Diego or Portugal or anywhere but yeah, New England. So the desire to actually create a Lovecraft film which shows an authentic New England Arkham and yeah, conjures that world into being. And I believe it's there. I have been yeah, last summer spent quite a bit of time touring New England and Massachusetts and familiarizing myself with Salem and Providence. And
Oh,
yeah, tracking down little bits of Lovecraft country, and it's all there, and it's all to be seen. I mean, yeah, in my mind, there's little doubt that Miskatonic University shares a lot with Brown University in Providence. I mean, I absolutely adore the Applied Mathematics building. Uh, just like the original Arkham Asylum has got to be the Butler Hospital in Providence, where both of Lovecraft's parents died, and which is now presumably the place where the Joker is held in the DC verse. But it's interesting that these places actually exist. Yeah, are real places, and yeah, still yeah resonate with the authenticity of yeah, yeah, of what they are. So yeah, I've got a great desire to shoot at least one Lovecraft movie in Lovecraft country.
hmm that would be. So, do you like? Is that close to fruition, or do you think it'll take a few years yet? Or
Nah, hey, it's scarily close.
oh, that would.
And yeah, the one announced today shooting in Salem, just down the road. The plan is to go late summer, and I'm very much hoping that. I mean, I was hoping we could have Dunwich for fall, but if we have to go to winter these days, yeah, winter is still a pretty good time to be shooting on campus. In that,
Yeah,
it's pretty quiet.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, so, um, so that's pretty much what's next for you. Is there anything else that you're working on, or
Yeah,
like aside from?
yeah, I keep busy. Keep pretty busy. So I've got my first book coming out, which is a big deal to me because it's the first time a real publisher has actually done a big print run of something I've written, and which will actually go into bookstores. So I'm fairly amazed that this has happened. I was kind of fancied myself as a writer before I was a filmmaker, but just never acted on it. So, very glad that I've finally got a book arriving in American stores in August.
Oh,
Which,
August.
yeah, um, which is a non-fiction, yeah, work that's been, yeah, 35 years in the making.
Oh,
It's a yeah, it's a book entitled Otto Rahn, Grail Hunter. And it's the true story of the German Jewish Grail historian who was sent to track down the Holy Grail by Heinrich Himmler. And so spent an awful lot of time on that trail. And after about 30 years, finally managed to get the entire story between two covers. It's being published and will hit bookstores in beginning of August, and also
wow.
available online. So I think that will blow a few minds because it's been insanely fact checked. We've gone through it and legally bomb proofed it and double checked uh, more insane data than you can imagine. So I also I see it as my gift to future yeah conspiracy theorists and occult treasure hunters.
Oh. I look forward to that. That seems very interesting. Um, but so uh, okay. Oh yeah. One other thing that I definitely wanted to ask, and this so of HG. I mean, I know you were. Is there any other like H.G. Wells book that you'd like to adapt aside from like Moreau? Is there any?
Well, I don't think I'm going to have time probably to tackle another one, and God knows whether I'll ever have a chance to do justice to Moreau. I mean, every so often the idea comes up of trying to return to the island.
Mm,
Sometimes it almost becomes real. And I've written multiple drafts and multiple different takes. I wrote a completely new pilot for the island of Dr. Moreau about a year and a half ago, very recently. So keep trying to return to that territory. But I think a lot of the Wells material deserves revisiting, if not by me, then by someone, because there's definitely a very different time machine to be made. I mean, I just reread Time Machine about 2 weeks ago. Read the whole thing aloud. Yeah, the so much of that original story is yeah, just goes places that no movie version has ever gone. Literally to beyond the extinction of humanity to the ends of the earth itself, and it's strong stuff. But I've never seen a War of the Worlds that's pressed my buttons. I mean, I stole a little piece of War of the Worlds in hardware. Hardware steals from everything.
mm,
It's the droid is built that way. But yeah, for sure, the bit where the girl hides in the fridge and the droid reaches in and grabs a mayonnaise jar is inspired by the guy hiding in the rubble in War of the Worlds, and the Martians send down a tentacle and it grabs a jar just next to his foot, which was something that scared me when I read the Wells story when I was a child, and of the end of the original Wells story when the narrator is the last person left in the city alive. The city is overgrown with red weed, and the only sound are the sirens. The character by now is so ruined that he wants to die. Tries to sacrifice himself to the Martians by falling on his knees in front of the fighting machines and begging them to kill him. They don't, and he looks up and realizes it's because the Martians are already dead too, and the crows are eating them. It is such a scene of cosmic desolation that of pure cosmic horror that yeah, I don't think anyone's realized that any more than anyone's showed me the time traveler standing on the beach watching the last sunset with the sun swollen like a big red giant settling below the horizon. And there's a cosmicism to Wells, which is also obviously there in Dr. Moreau with the unfortunate castaway, the last human being marooned on the island of the beasts. That I don't think anyone's touched it properly on screen, and they haven't really found the heart of Wells's material. And I hope some filmmaker does one day, even if it's not me.
well, that's that's. Is there anything else that you'd like to say or like to plug before we end?
Yeah, well, the coming back to Otto Rahn Grail Hunter, which
Mm,
concerns the quest for the Holy Grail, which lands in August in bookstores. To say the publishers are already so happy with the material that they've commissioned me to write a second one. So
Oh, wow.
from later in this year, from yeah, I intend to yeah set my sights on the quest for Shambhala, the lost mythical initiatory city somewhere in the Himalayas or the Hindu Kush or the Karakorams. So following the Grail opus, I hope from late summer to be beginning on a second tome involving the quest for the lost initiatory center, the real life Shangri La. So that's next on the crazed agenda.
Oh, wow. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, wow, there's so much on your plate. Um, Thank you again so much for taking the time out to talk to me tonight. And I look forward to hopefully having the opportunity again when Theo's around, maybe.
Yeah, well, good
So
luck with him. Yeah, I hope he
yeah,
shows up. Yeah, do give him my regards. I'm sorry I wasn't here.
yeah, that's But until next time, I'm Michael J for with Richard Stanley, and we'll see you later.
It's been a pleasure.